It was Vera who spotted the man falling from the sky. She shouted and pointed, and we all stood to get a better look. One of the searchlights shone on a parachutist descending toward the city, his silk canopy a white tulip bulb above him. "A Fritz," said Oleg Antokolsky, and he was right. We could see a gray Luftwaffe uniform. Where had he come from? None of us had heard the sounds of aerial combat or the report of an AA gun. We hadn't heard a bomber passing overhead for close to an hour. "Maybe it started," said Vera. For weeks we'd been hearing rumors that the Germans were preparing a massive paratrooper drop, a final raid to pluck the miserable thorn of Leningrad from their advancing army's backside. At any minute, we expected to look up and see thousands of Nazis drifting toward the city, a snowstorm of white parachutes blotting out the sky. But dozens of searchlights slashed through the darkness and found no more enemies. There was only this one, and judging from the limpness of the body suspended from the parachute harness, he was already dead. We watched him drift down, frozen in the searchlight, low enough that we could see that one of his black boots was missing. "He's coming our way," I said. The wind blew him toward Voynova Street. The twins looked at each other. "Luger," said Oleg. "Luftwaffe don't carry Lugers," said Grisha. He was 5 minutes older and the authority on Nazi weaponry. "Walther PPK." Vera smiled at me. "German chocolate." We ran for the stairway door, abandoning our firefighting tools, racing down the dark stairwell. We were fools, of course. A slip on one of those concrete steps with no fat or muscle to cushion the fall meant a broken bone, and a broken bone meant death. But none of us cared. We were very young, and a dead German was falling into Voynova Street, carrying gifts from Das Vaterland. We sprinted through the courtyard and climbed over the locked gate. All the street lamps were dark. The entire city was dark, partly to make the job tougher for the bombers, and partly because most of the electricity was diverted to the munitions factories. But the moon was bright enough to see by. Voynova was wide open and deserted, 6 hours into curfew, no cars in sight. Only the military and government had access to gasoline, and all the civilian autos had been requisitioned during the first months of the war. Strips of paper crossed the shop windows, which the radio told us made them more resistant to shattering. Maybe this was true, though I had walked by many storefronts in Leningrad where nothing remained in the window frame but a dangling strip of paper. Out on the street, we looked into the sky, but could not find our man. "Where did he go? You think he landed on a roof?" The searchlights were tracking the sky, but they were all mounted on top of tall buildings, and none of them had an angle to shine down Voynova Street. Vera tugged on the collar of my greatcoat, a vast old navy coat inherited from my father and still too big for me, but warmer than anything else I owned. I turned and saw him gliding down the street, our German, his single black boots skidding over the frozen pavement, the great canopy of his white parachute still swollen in the wind, blowing him toward the gates of the Kirov, his chin slumped against his chest, his dark hair flecked with crystals of ice, his face bloodless in the moonlight. We stood very still and watched him sail closer. We had seen things that winter no eye should ever see. We thought we were beyond surprise, but we were wrong, and if the German had drawn his Walther and begun shooting, none of us would have been able to get our feet moving in time. But the dead man stayed dead, and at last the wind gave out, the parachute deflated, and he slumped to the pavement, dragging another few meters face down in final humiliation. We gathered around the pilot. He was a tall man, well built, and if we had seen him walking around Peter in street clothes, we would have known him at once for an infiltrator. He had the body of a man who ate meat every day. Grisha knelt and unholstered the German's sidearm. "Walther PPK. Told you." We rolled the German onto his back. His pale face was scuffed, the skin scraped on the asphalt, the abrasions as colorless as the intact skin. The dead don't bruise. I couldn't tell if he had died frightened or defiant or